In this video, I'm going to go over why aliens would invade our planet, and if they did, whether or not humanity would be able to defend such an attack. This is actually a subject that has been broached by some very serious people. On December 8th, 2017, an article was released in which Nick Pope, former Ministry of Defense UFO investigator, conveyed that an alien invasion is serious enough that we should be preparing for the worst. Physicist Stephen Hawking has been recorded saying, "Our first contact from an advanced civilization could be equivalent to when Native Americans first encountered Christopher Columbus and things didn't turn out so well." Here's an excerpt from an article in The Guardian. "It's not the first time Hawking has warned about the prospect of hostile aliens. Launching the Breakthrough Listen project, which will scan the nearest million stars for signs of life, last year he suggested that any civilization reading our messages could be billions of years ahead of humans. If so, they will be vastly more powerful and may not see us as any more valuable than we see bacteria," he said. I'm going to first tackle why aliens would invade Earth in the first place, and there are actually only two reasons they would do so. One would be that a species of aliens simply takes pleasure in conquering other planets and witnessing their downfall. The only other possible reason is sustenance. But here's the kicker. It wouldn't be sustenance in reference to water, trees, plants, and animals. The reason for this is twofold. For one, there are plenty of uninhabited planets in the universe that don't have sentient life, but have all the resources that Earth has. But more significantly, these aliens are so advanced that they could easily take some trees and plants and animals from Earth and bring them back to their own planet like a galactic Noah's Ark, if you will. So any kind of sustenance that aliens could realistically desire from Earth is a sort of parasitic sustenance, such as feeding off our negative emotions. In fact, this is actually what Tom DeLonge believes is happening on our planet in regards to the ET presence. And I actually disagree with Tom because I believe that extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. To give you a summary of what Tom believes regarding the ET presence on Earth, as far as I understand, is that he believes that all of the religions on Earth were actually engineered by the extraterrestrial presence using their advanced technology. Signs in the heavens and all this seemingly impossible things that you read about in the various holy books were actually generated by extraterrestrial technology to foster various religions among various populations within the world. And the reason these extraterrestrials created these various religions thousands of years ago was to create division among humanity. And the reason they desired this division among humanity is because they feed off our negative emotions. And since they knew that various religions on Earth would cause tremendous strife among humanity, they made it their mission to procure various religions among humanity. Tom also believes that all the various crashes of UFOs upon the world, the most famous one being Roswell, were done intentionally so that humankind would acquire better technology from these crashed crafts, which would make technology of war that much better, and so would make the environment on planet Earth more precarious, again, leading to more negative emotions from humanity that the aliens could harvest for their own benefit. Considering that the evil aliens benefit from our negative emotions, this would be the only reason that we are still breathing the free air of Earth, because if we were not alive, then there would be no negative emotions for these ETs to harvest. And that's basically what Tom DeLonge believes regarding the ET presence on Earth. From my perspective, I assume that the vast majority of alien species in our universe are peaceful. And the reason I reach this conclusion is because once a civilization reaches a certain level of technological advancement, they will either destroy themselves because of conflict within their own species, or they will move beyond the threshold of their technology by becoming a peaceful and loving civilization, because once you acquire a certain amount of technology, you have to become a peaceful society, otherwise you'll end up destroying yourselves. Humanity is actually at that point right now. When you look at all the nuclear proliferation that our world has, if we do not soon get our act together and become a peaceful civilization, I am sorry to inform you that we will indeed destroy ourselves. And once a civilization gets to that advanced level of technology, perhaps nuclear power comes first, and then the holy grail of tapping into the vacuum of space, the sea of energy that atoms exist within, that's what comes next. So what happens is civilizations get to that heightened level, and then because they learn to coexist, and because all their energy needs are met, therefore all their economic problems are eradicated, and then they develop AI so that everyone has as much as they want. There's prosperity everywhere, and there's enough food, transportation, point to point, no problem. It takes very little energy. You can build houses, you can build apartment buildings. Everyone's needs are met. And then, of course, there's also the eradication of disease. And then there's also the acquiring of methodologies to reform arms and legs. And if there's someone who's, you'll never see, once you get to that stage, there aren't people in wheelchairs anymore. All that's been figured out. These civilizations become masters at genetics, masters at curing disease. The quality of life is through the roof. And as they persist into the future, and as their technology keeps getting better and better, then the idea of strife, the idea of warfare, the idea of hurting your fellow being becomes a truly bizarre proposition. And that is the context of which most of the civilizations in our universe are living. Now that we have established why aliens would invade Earth, let's explore whether or not humanity would be able to defend themselves from such an attack. Well, before I move on, here's a little spoiler to that inquiry. The answer as to whether humanity could defend itself against such attacks is that yes, they could, and no, they could not. Before I go into what I mean by that, let's delve into the strategic tactics that these alien species would use to wreak havoc on humanity. While I don't think it's necessary, because these alien species are so incredibly further advanced than we are, but if they wanted to be extra scrupulous, what they would do is they would monitor our planet for, let's say, a month or so prior to initiating an attack, and they would use espionage machines that are literally hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than our most sophisticated satellites that are orbiting our atmosphere. And the aliens would literally map out, without any exception, every single solitary military installation and intelligence installation across the entire planet. With their hundreds of thousands of targets mapped out across the globe, they would send high energy weapon beams toward all those targets from hundreds of thousands of miles away. And every single military installation and every single intelligence installation would be gone in a matter of seconds. The reason they would do this from hundreds of thousands of miles away is the same reason that America's F-35 will shoot down its enemy from a distance. Why would you want to get close to your enemy when there's the potential for taking enemy fire when you can do it from very far away? So the perhaps disturbing aspect of this whole thing is you wouldn't even see the alien crafts. You would just wake up one morning and you would be watching the news, and while you were eating your breakfast, Anderson Cooper would be telling you that the Pentagon, the CIA headquarters, and every single Air Force base and military base, not only in the United States, but in China, Russia, South America, Africa, everywhere, completely obliterated, and you would probably be pretty depressed. Once the entire military and intelligence apparatus has been eradicated from every single nation on this earth, then the aliens would move in with their small craft and would obliterate humankind and wipe us off the face of the earth. If I'm being honest, I don't actually think the aliens would engage warfare in the way I just cited. I mean, they could if they wanted to, but I don't think they would bother engaging those sort of tactics. What I actually think would be the premier methodology of the aliens to wipe out humanity would be that they would send over small pods traveling at hundreds of thousands of miles an hour to hit every continent on our planet. And within these pods would be highly sophisticated biological weapons engineered to kill all of humanity, but not to kill anything else within the ecosystem, as to maintain the health and viability of Earth's ecosystem. Then in 48 hours or less, every single human being, without exception, would be dead. Yes, even the humans thousands of feet under the ground, because these biological weapons would certainly encompass AI nanotechnology, which would have no problem migrating thousands of feet below the ground to ensure that every last remnant of human life was wiped out. Now this is where things get really disturbing. After all humans were dead, they would send over ships the size of Rhode Island that were designed to basically vacuum up the carcasses of those civilizations that they have eradicated. No, it actually gets even more disturbing. After they vacuum up every last man, woman, and child from the face of the earth, they would deposit these 7 billion carcasses into Earth's atmosphere. So instead of space junk proliferating the orbit of Earth, it would actually be the 7 billion carcasses that were here on Earth, now dead, orbiting our planet. You know, I really gotta be honest, it gets even more disturbing. The 7 billion carcasses orbiting our Earth would not decompose in the cold environment of space, but instead would basically turn into human ice cubes. So even 1,000 years subsequent of the aliens wreaking havoc on our planet, every one of the carcasses orbiting our planet would basically look essentially like they did seconds prior to them being murdered. Genesis chapter 3 verse 19 says, "In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return." If the aliens get their way, we certainly will not be returning to dust. We will be mummified ice cubes in Earth's orbit, essentially looking the same for, well, all of eternity. The last thing you may be wondering is, how is it that there are aliens developed to have such sophisticated weaponry but did not end up destroying themselves as most civilizations would have had they maintained a conflict consciousness? And the answer to that question is because of an extremely rare and unfortunate trick of evolution. You see, within our incredible universe, every now and again, it's quite rare, there are civilizations that somehow develop where they love each other, but they hate other civilizations, and so they do not end up destroying themselves even when they attain incredibly sophisticated technology. Personally, I refer to these civilizations as the scum of the universe. So earlier I said that humanity would be able to defend themselves against very advanced alien species, and that they also would not. And here's the only way that they would be able to. They would be able to only if a compassionate and moral alien species intervene to defend our planet from these scum of the universe. These groups of aliens all throughout our universe that are commissioned to actually protect innocent planets like our Earth from the scum of the universe go by 3 names: Space Police, Galactic Bodhisattva, and the Jedi. Yes, I am borrowing from George Lucas in Star Wars the term the Jedi, but it perfectly describes what these quasi-police forces within the universe do to ensure a degree of order from the scum of the universe wreaking havoc on innocent planets, innocent civilizations. These Jedi are throughout the universe and operate within different quadrants of the universe. And they have, different jurisdictions in the same way that a police force can only work within certain jurisdictions. And it is an all-volunteer operation, so there is no galactic draft. Just from the various civilizations within the universe, there is that option if you want to serve in that capacity. Finally, I want to close out this video by playing my Egyptian flute as an offering to the peaceful civilizations that are almost certainly watching this transmission. And I want you to know that though my people are relatively primitive, the vast majority of us want to move beyond our current state of technology and consciousness and move into a golden age of brotherly and sisterly love, peace, happiness, and technological advancement. My people are on the brink of what we call on our planet disclosure, which is where those in charge of the secrecy will open up the books and tell all of humanity that not only are we not alone in the universe, but we are being visited by you guys. We are being visited by other civilizations in our universe. Moreover, my people do want the technology transfer. Please give us the technology. You can wire it into our interwebs. You can make it all over the interweb. No one can take it down. Give us technology on free energy. Give us the medical technology and any other technology which will raise and increase the quality of our life. That is what I wish to communicate to you in this offering.
The truth will break your chains. We have the key.